Welcome to Building Great Sales Teams, a show dedicated to making sales teams tick, tick, boom. Great sales teams are not recruited, they are built, block by block. Let's get to work.
The Zoom ones are good because you can control the environment and everything.
Yeah.
But I think I told you like the in-person's a lot better. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because then you don't feel like you feel like you're having a conversation and you don't feel like you're on TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's true. There's a difference.
Because you're looking at yourself the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, God damn.
Yeah, no, that's true. Or you get a little conceited, like, I'm good, man. Shit, it's weird.
When you were first starting out, did you ever like record yourself?
Starting out like on the whole like social media. Oh, in the doors.
Yeah.
I actually did record myself like an audio, see how it sounded, and I pitched with my family members and I try. Yeah.
And so would you like listen to yourself and take notes on how you could do better, or would you let somebody else listen to it and get their critique?
I probably did it like once, I just recorded myself. I got, somebody told me just record yourself, and then I recorded myself, and then I practiced with a family member once, and that was it. The rest, I just hit the pavement and went out and just practiced on the doors.
Awesome.
Yeah. That was a good, that was like the best technique ever. Just go out,
and
make mistakes, yeah.
Yeah, well, the customer doesn't know you're making mistakes. They just say no, right?
That's for sure.
All right, guys, we got Jimmy, and forgive me if I say your last name wrong. Jimmy Esparza?
Yeah.
Okay, right. That's the best white boy version I can do right there.
Sounds good, man.
So Jimmy is in the solar industry, and Jimmy's been in the business. He's an OG in the business since the Solar City days, knocking on doors for Solar City. And now he's got a company that's doing anywhere from 35 to 40 installs a month.
Yeah.
Mainly door to door, just getting lead gen started up, virtual started up.
Yeah.
So been in the business a long time. So I'm excited to do this podcast with you and basically learn about your journey, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a solar salesperson, and then that transition to, the CEO of your company. So I would say, well, first of all, what are we here for, right? We're here for SolarCon.
Yeah.
For us, it's a huge networking opportunity, right? For most of the salespeople that come here, they're learning from the speakers and everything, and obviously we can absolutely learn from them. But for us, for me, I feel like it's about building relationships, And me and you met on the plane on the way here.
Yeah.
Which was kind of awesome because then, 24 hours later, we're doing a podcast together.
Yeah, it is awesome, man. It's crazy.
So I got to hear a little bit of your story, personal and business, and immediately I was like, hey, we got to get you on the podcast, So let's start there. So you're married.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful new baby girl.
Baby girl. I am Victoria. First of all, thanks, man. Thanks for the invite. It was, like you said, it was, unexpected, but I felt like, we had a good conversation.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, yeah, man, let's go ahead and do it. Sounds like it's exciting, but going back to the question, I have a brand new baby, 4 months. I love Victoria Esparza. So just like her mama, almost like her name, but yeah, man, that's life changing.
How does her mama deal with all the traveling? Because I know you're going to Australia next week, right?
Yeah, man. Like, my respects for my wife. She's amazing. Like, she deals with it. Last week we were in Miami. Now we're in Utah. And last week I had to take him, with me because I was feeling a little homesick.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Like,
I know exactly how you feel, brother.
Yeah, man. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take you. And she was a trooper, man. She was like, let's do it. I was like, she knows how I work. Like, sometimes I don't eat until like 3 p.m. I wake up straight, go to work, and she sees me. That's why she sometimes doesn't like to hang out with me when I'm working. And I get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was like, no, I had to take you, and she has adapted to it. And I was like, I'm gonna, all this half of the week, I'm gonna try to spend. I'm gonna do business, but try to spend a little bit of time with you and the baby. And we did, and it was wonderful, man. I loved it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do it all the time, cause
that's tough. Because you're in work mode, and so one of the things I've learned over the last year or so, being in the networks I'm in and talking to the amazing men and women that I talk to about being present when you're home. it's one of the hardest things to do, because when you're home, you're thinking about the business, and then when you're in the middle of the business, you're thinking about home. You know, and it's just this weird thing that we do. So you have to work really hard to be present in the moment when you are home. And a lot of times, if you do that well, then you end up having more impact on your family than somebody that is home all the time. But they're on their phone, they're watching TV, they're doing everything they can to be distracted because they don't want to deal with real life, right? So.
No, that's true, man. I caught myself a couple of times, like being home and still seeing, thinking about what am I gonna do, what are we gonna do in the next couple of days, numbers, and but yeah, like you said, like you give it all at work, and then once you come home, like try to give it all, at home, which is not easy. It takes discipline, but at the end of the day, I tell myself it's a must. Like I have no option. That's the thing. That's kind of like my mindset all the time. I have to, like, even though it's not easy, but it's worth it. Totally worth it. But,
awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks.
Well, yeah, for sure. Let's go back to the Solar City days. I think a lot of people listening, and what I found out, and I don't know if it's because I'm in solar, because that's like we were talking about earlier. That's not the majority of my business. The majority of my business is being an AT&T dealer.
Yeah.
And done that for the past 12 years, and AT&T's been a great client. But anyways, what I found out is anytime that I have someone on the show that talks about solar, all of a sudden the downloads go up. You know what I mean? So I've got a good solar following, it looks like. So I definitely wanted to have you on the show. And so most of the people listening, I'm guessing they know about Solar City, because that was kind of the original door-to-door campaign for solar, right? Yep. And so you were part of that campaign. How did you get recruited to the campaign?
So yeah, man, Solar City. It was a good culture. It was a good company as well. I started off. I used to work actually in a call center inside a prison. I was an assistant manager, and that's a whole different story. But and then they laid us off because the inmates had access to computers and they hacked into.
Of course they did.
That was so crazy. And it was cool. It was a good job, right? I was assistant manager. I was helping. It was to me it was a noble cause, because we were teaching people like how to adapt to the real world once they get out of the prison.
They had computer skills coming out of prison.
Yeah, computer skills, sales skills, and honestly, like I was a little, I kind of had enough of that job, because I was like I can't be in this environment for a long period of time.
It's tough, man.
Yeah, so I got laid off. One of the best days of my life when I got laid off for a moment. And they were just going to investigate, and then they were going to bring us back. But I was so excited. And I used to live with my parents at the time. So my good friend now, Matt Patterson, he came in and knocked the door. And with shorts, and he had a faded hat. I have to say it, man, but he did have a faded hat. From Solar City. And then he just, he pitched it. He sold the solar system to my parents. And I was at the time I was I was like 21, 22 years old.
So were you just about to graduate college?
I was attending college. I was attending college at the time, and then so he's like, hey man, he's like, and then he tried to recruit me, and I was like, nah man, I was like, I'm gonna go door knock, I'm gonna go back.
Door knock is for losers.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's not. It's
That's
definitely
what most people think.
Yeah, man, it's not a glamorous job, for sure. And then your family will shame you for it, and friends will shame you for it. Absolutely. They feel bad for you. But at the end of the day, I'm always been driven to become better, be successful. Which at that time to me is being successful. It's growing and making some good money.
I think this can help some of our people that are doing door to door as door-to-door owners, or they're running teams that are door to door. What changed your mindset in that, hey, maybe I should do this?
What changed my mindset? I checked out the product. So I first of all, I've been in sales ever since I got out of high school. I used to sell lollipops when I was in middle school too. Nice. Any little hustle I could have done. I've been in sales for a bit. So I like to enjoy the product. Right? I like to fall in love with the product in the beginning.
Absolutely.
So because I don't there's always that I guess core values at home. My mom's make sure you do things right. Don't rip off people or nothing like that. So it's I was always into if I'm gonna sell product, I better make sense. It better be true what they're saying, right? So I did my investigation. I kind of fell in love with the product, and I was like, okay, it's a cool product. And then I'm not gonna lie, I seen the money. It's like, this guy showed me his pay
wow,
stub.
Okay. Fell in love with the product, and then you realize this is a bankroll product right here. Yeah. So I just want to point out one thing, and I just did a reel on this the other day, and a lot of people don't realize, like, you can have all the sales tricks and tips and hacks in the world or whatever, but the number one hack I feel like is being in love with your product. Yeah. And truly believing in your product. And being passionate about it, because it comes through when you're selling, right? Yeah. All right, so let's fast forward a little bit. You're out in the field. When did you make the transition from rep to leader?
I made the transition, I would say like 5 months in. So my first month I came in, there was the in club. So funny story about that, like I was recruited, they showed me the pay stub, I was like, oh damn man, you're making this much money. I was like, I'm in. And then they didn't want to recruit him, they didn't want to onboard me because I never done door-to-door sales. So they're like, nah man, this guy, he's gonna quit on his first week because he's not gonna like it. And they test me out. A manager tested me. He took me like on the road and see if I was gonna make it. It was 115 degrees, and so it's like, Arizona, man, it's extremely hot. So those of you guys are knocking, and you guys are 80s. You guys don't know what you guys are, you guys are taking advantage of. But anyways, so I wasn't gonna get hired. So I remember I had to be really I don't want to say aggressive, but I had a conversation with the managers. Like, look, man, I've been in management roles since I was young. So I've been in supervisor, assistant manager, and things like that. So I was like, look, man, I get it. I know what you're doing. Yeah. I was like, but let's do this. If you don't want to hire me for 30 days. If I don't make the quota, bare minimum quota, you fire me. That's it, man. But I'm just gonna ask you, just don't waste my time. Do me a favor, don't waste my time. I'm the type of guy that, if I commit to something, I'm all in. And I'm gonna make it happen, and I'm gonna figure it out. So. I made a good, I made good connections within the team. So one of the guys, influenced, the manager. Just like, man, this guy's hungry, man. Just give him a chance. Yeah. And then, in the beginning, in the get-go, I was like, I need to prove myself, and I need to put in the work. And I know there's this club in it's called the N8 Club. Make 8 sales a month, and I did it in my first month. I was like, bam, I came in, I got my shirt and everything. Self-gen and everything, and then little by little we did it again, and we just kept the numbers consistent.
So looking back now, was that a tactic to kind of take the position away from you?
What do you mean?
Well, some companies, you go into them, and they say, oh, we'll call you tomorrow. They have every intention of hiring you, but they're like, hey, we'll call you and let you know. Let you sit for a couple of days. Yeah. Think you're not going to get the position, and then they hire you. That way, when you show up, you're super appreciative and you're super excited about it because you got selected versus, a cattle call and everybody come in and whoever makes it.
I think it was a good onboarding that they had, but not necessarily that. I think it was more of they were probably so burned out with all these guys that we'll hire. I was like, another guy coming in, no experience. Yeah. He's probably gonna be a good sales guy, but he's not gonna make it because he's never door knocked before. It's a different beast.
It really is.
So I was like, and then I felt like I had to prove myself, and and I always try to be the best that I can wherever I'm at, and then at 4 months in, it was a good performance base, and then I started recruiting people just because man, there's so much money in this, wow, it's crazy.
You wanted to bless other people.
Yeah, and I started with my brother, started with my cousin, started from my in-law, started all these guys that surrounded me, my good friend, my best friend. I brought them on board, and I felt like a big responsibility that I had to train them. And I was not in leadership; it was just a natural thing for me because I felt where there was a lack of leadership in my team. But I always been a team player. It's fuck it, man. I'm already in here.
Right.
I'll
be the leader.
Yeah, let's make the best out of it. And it's not. It was not an ego thing. It was more I wanted to serve. When I recruited somebody, I promised something, and I wanted to make sure that it was delivered.
That's a hard spot to put yourself in because a lot of guys won't put in the work. Yeah. And so you're promising this thing, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm not making the money you said I would," and you're like, "Well, you only knocked on 20 doors yesterday." Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's the tough thing about it. But no, that's awesome. So you hit the ground running, and then you worked yourself into leadership. And I just want to point out, and it's something that was actually talked about today. Oh man, I'm gonna forget his name. I added him on Instagram. I it's Alex something. He talked about recruiting the whole time.
Yeah.
He was kind of the recruiting talk. And so one of the things that he said that I 100% agree with is your best recruits will always be referrals from your salespeople.
Yeah.
And that's because their friends and family see what they're doing. And so they believe that it can be done because somebody close to them did. And then they typically do 5 times as well as the rest. I have the data. You know what I mean? I've hired a lot of door-to-door salespeople in my time. And the data is those salespeople that are recruited internally or from referrals do 5 times more production than the ones that are recruited from ads.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's a great point you just made too. Is if you're depending on your company to recruit people in, you would much rather do it yourself. Trust me, because then you're gonna go through 5 people to get to one good one versus only needing one inside referral that's gonna do really well. You know?
Absolutely, man. Because there's that guy that, you know, like looking at myself from those years, I was like super excited, like kept this guy's fired up. Was like
passion's coming through.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to recruit somebody or to sell somebody on something when the passion naturally comes out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah.
So, how big did your team get there at Solar City once you got into leadership?
So, the funny story, I was not officially in leadership.
Okay.
I was in Solar City. Like, I was
like that.
Yeah, it was like, it was not even my role, you know? And it was just that I seen like a lack of leadership. I mean, honestly, the leader that was there, he was a good sales guy. Like, he was good. Like, he was aggressively.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, he was just a good guy, you know, good sales guy. Like, I learned from him too. But I didn't, like, he was not, you know, to manage people, I don't think that was his, you know, expertise, you know, so.
Yeah, too many times we promote the best salesperson into management, and they're not built for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes we should just let them sell, or promote them to higher commission products, or promote them to like a traveling trainer or something like that.
Yeah.
I've had people that are really good trainers that don't want to lead people, and they won't tell you that. They'll want to do right by you, and they'll go into the position, and then they just don't want to deal with, you know, 7 salespeople every day.
Yeah.
They'll train them and then move on, you know what I'm saying, and then train them again and do that. So it's one of those things that, you know, I've made that mistake before, promoting the best salesperson to management, and they're not always the best people to manage.
Yeah. Most of the time, like top salesmen, like they're just in it for themselves. You know, it's like I need to make my quota. I got to be the best sales guy, which is okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But you know, I seen that, like, but at the end of the day, I was like, you know, I'm not a whiner. Like, I don't like to, you know, it's like, okay, I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna use some of my skills. And I remember I'll tell him like, hey man, we gotta have a meeting, and I'll give him like some tips because I managed before, like in my previous jobs. I was like, look man, you gotta kind of get the people involved. We gotta do some culture, like, and like, so throw like a meeting like this. Like, let's talk about the people's goals. Let's get to know people, and I'm sure that's gonna, you know, it's gonna help you out so much. And remember, we did like a goal set, like
you were coaching the manager.
I guess, yeah, I was, man, because I wanted the team to win, you know, I wanted like the people to feel that, you know, success, to feel that income, and to just, you know, be high performers. And I didn't really, you know, I was not even in a management role. I was just knew how to do it, and I wanted to serve.
Were you making an override?
Absolutely not.
Did you get a referral commission whenever you referred your friends?
There is Solar City had a you'll get stock from Solar City if you recruit somebody. But
stock.
Stocks. Yeah, I actually ended up having some.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So they used to give stocks, but honestly, I didn't even see the stock. I was just bringing in people. Like, I wasn't even thinking about monetizing. I was just like, man, like, look at the checks that I made. I want you to make this, and the product is cool. We're the chairman of the board is Elon Musk. You know, his cousin is running this business, so that was exciting. Yeah. And not just that, but I was feeling like the rush of it. I was like,
so who would have thought a servant mentality made you successful in the early days in solar? You know what I mean? And, you know, obviously I'm being facetious, you know, like that once you start serving others is when you truly become successful, right? Yeah. And so you started doing that. What made you make the jump into your own business?
What made me do the jump is that I did this for like 8 months. So I was, you know, so I was like, hey man, so, you know, I feel like I'm doing all this work, right? And then there's no room for me to grow. So I talked to the directors, like, yeah, man, we're gonna get a place for you. And that's when I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I respect it. You know, I respect respect for you guys. I know it's not whenever I want, is whenever there's an opening. I was like, cool, perfectly fine. I'm gonna keep improving myself. Yeah, I'll wait.
Yeah.
But then Tesla bought Solar City. So, and then I guess my little entrepreneur instinct kicked in, and I was like, shit, man, like I don't think Tesla would want a door knock. Like it's a high end brand. It's like probably like Tesla, like Mercedes, BMW. So I don't see this high end brand,
especially at the time. Now Tesla's a little more economical, but at the time it was $100,000 car. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Like if I would have been on their shoes, I was like, why would I have a division where my brand is huge enough where people are they're gonna
buy on brand awareness. They don't need to impulse people.
Yeah, exactly. And and then I seen some movement within the organization. Which now they're one of the big players that sponsors the event, which is a good friend of ours. And I seen him move. I was like, oh shoot, like this guy's moving. This guy's moving too. I was like, oh, well, I think it's my time to go. And
success leaves clues, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, okay. And then I got offered an opportunity to run a division in sales, and I was like, cool. I think is let's go ahead and do it. And I got my shot to. I moved to a small company.
Okay.
So they brought me on board. They gave me the opportunity. It was a smarter company, and then I recruited a bunch of people, and then now I was a sales manager, and then
they were probably excited about you. That happens a lot, especially when on any sales team in any organization, any products, somebody hits a ceiling. They hit that ceiling, and so they can no longer look up because there's a ceiling there, right?
Yeah.
So now they start looking left, right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And guess who's over there? Your competitors.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so one of the things I did right early in my business is I allowed them to promote themselves.
Yeah.
So if they were able to promote leaders by two, promote them, or basically replace themselves by two, that would create a promotion for them. And then we would open up an office for them to manage.
Yeah.
So we always created this like open opportunity structure that always allowed them to be promoted. Now it bit us in the ass long term. And I can get into that on another podcast. But we scaled like crazy. Yeah. So we weren't ready to scale.
Yeah.
But if you are ready to scale, that's a great way to do it. Don't allow somebody to be stifled if they are a servant leader like you were. Because they are. They're going to look to, other companies because they want leadership. Absolutely. And that's what they were born for.
Yeah, and then that was in that case started with a smaller company. They were working from home. Nothing wrong with that. When I started my own business too, like I was working from home. But this company was in business for already 2 years and a half. So it seemed like the owner wanted to stay small, and then that's where I met the owner of the largest install company, and I introduced myself. We talked about it. I had some good key players from Solar City at the time too, and then he's like, okay, cool, man, let's partner up. Let's get this rolling. And I was like, okay, cool, man, you won't regret it. It's like, yeah, we're excited to have you on board. And after that, they were like 2 years in business. So they were not the biggest or also, the biggest, but now, they became one of the largest install company in the nation. And I think
So you've been part of that journey the whole time?
Yeah, man. And I think it's part of
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's been 5 years and a half already. So it's been fun, seeing them grow is like crazy because, when we meet with a CEO and I was like, a whole different conversation, a whole staff behind, when it was like, we always to meet and have a conversation.
So was everybody on the plane part of his
staff? Yeah, those guys, man.
That's hilarious.
These are all staffs,
I did, he walked in, I was like, I know this guy from somewhere. And I had seen him from the ads and everything. Yeah. And so it's okay for us to say it. We're talking about the CEO of Titan.
Yeah.
And Dave, what's his last name?
David Williamson,
Williamson.
Yeah.
And so I was just tripping out, and then you sat next to me. We started having a conversation. That's how we ended up here. But it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool experience.
No, it was cool, man. And then they grew like crazy, and we just grew right behind them. And obviously, that success kind of rubs off. It's like cool to see them winning. Like cool. That's part of what we're doing too.
Okay.
And but yeah, so now we're we're probably gonna get in a couple 100 deals a month, and we kind of got a good record now going in this past couple of months.
So probably the number one thing. So I have consulting clients, right, and they're in all different kinds of industry. Marketing, construction, all this different stuff, and they always want to try and find that sales manager, right? Yeah. And so that small company that found you, you know what I mean, they needed that sales leadership, right?
Yeah.
And that's typically, if you don't have a sales team yet, you want to hire that first, which is tough.
Somebody who's ready. Yeah.
Somebody who already has managed before, all that type of stuff. Do y'all do any of that type of recruiting, or is everybody homegrown? Basically, like they come in entry level and they work their way up.
Nowadays, back before we did, but now it's more like, somebody who comes from scratch. Like we have some success stories from somebody who comes from, also the AT&T Rogue and telecommunications and totally.
That's the easiest place to recruit from right now, right?
Yeah, and it's like, we taught them what solar was all about. They already had, understand the structure of sales, team building. Is like we taught them sales, the operation side, the closing techniques and the pitches and the KPIs, and how to analyze the market, and all that stuff. And so that's kind of like the model that we prefer to do it. But if there's, somebody who's, because most of the time you deal with a lot of ego, they come in with a huge ego.
Bad habits.
It's harder for them to have a servant mentality and say like, you know what, like I'm going to learn and, like I'm fresh through this. I mean, I haven't scaled where, I need to scale just yet.
Right.
And I'm sure I'm going to learn from you.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's more like, yeah, man, I know what I'm doing. It's like, I try to stay away.
They just want the best price.
Yeah, they just want the best price, and I try to stay away from those. But if I find somebody who it's a good fit, then we'll onboard them. Because why not? Like I was there too in that spot. It was like
you were there once.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I agree with you 100%. So most of our in the 12 years we've been in business, most of our career, our best people have been homegrown. And so now I'm of the mindset, okay, home grow them 100%, but also get them from other industries and just teach them the product knowledge piece. They obviously are already in leadership and sales and a sales manager somewhere else, but yeah, absolutely take them from another industry. And then they have something to learn and they may come in with more of a servant mentality and especially coming from like, a campaign where they're selling cable or energy or something like that, where they're making $100 a sale, and then you're showing them how to make, $5,000, $6,000 a sale. Yeah. It's a completely different thing. And just selling, they have a lot more opportunity, but you're also presenting them with a leadership opportunity too as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, then the next question they have is, all right, I want to recruit salespeople. How do I recruit them? So what is kind of the program you guys use right now for recruiting?
Yeah, so and going back to that question that you asked is most of the people that have been the most successful, like they came to us, like, they heard about, what we've been doing, and then, they either DM me or, somebody refers them to me, like if they're trying to do solar, like they send them my way.
So you have a lot of influence on Instagram right now. And so I think that's where you're going with it. So y'all's strategy is more about you being the authority, you being the presence in the marketplace, and then people that want the opportunity see you. And so if you guys don't already, go ahead and follow Jimmy. And what's your Instagram?
It's Jimmy Esparza Official.
Okay. So the first thing you're going to see is that he's got 170,000 followers. Okay. And so I'm in Apex, and we have a program called Building Your Machine. Okay. And it is very much this. And you've never heard of Apex. You never heard of Ryan Stewman before me and you talked. And so it's kind of cool because you have kind of done this on your own. So what made you make the decision to build your reach on Instagram?
You just recently asked, I decided to kind of move that route also with my team because, now people are, social medias, and now we're virtual salespeople, right?
Yeah.
Like we're running a sales company, so we got to know how to be, have that virtual presence, right? We got to know how to communicate through a platform like this, right? And I remember I've been working on this, even in the beginning of my sales career in solar, and I will talk about this, and people look at me like crazy, man, we're gonna be just selling virtually, it's maybe not 100%, but a lot of the business is gonna be virtual, so we gotta be prepared to, present the product virtually because people are gonna feel comfortable making an order online or things like that, right? And that was my the world's gonna end training, right? I talk to the sales guy man, you guys are doing good here, door knocking, which is great and great job, but don't forget, this is where we're heading towards, and this is talking about like 6 years ago, you know.
Oh shoot, you were saying this 6 years ago.
Yeah, and the guys are like, man, Jimmy's crazy. He's always like, yeah, I know you're crazy, man. Like, you got a crazy vision. It's cool. Like, we're doing good. I was like, yeah, bro, but I always had this urgency, you know.
Yeah.
And I, use towards our leverage, like use like social media. And, yeah, man. Even when I was dating, man, I used to my social media. You know,
so you've been building it for a while, and now you have. Do you have VAs helping you now?
Yeah, we have a full staff. You know, like designers. We have videographers. Like we have a marketing manager.
So you're really investing in it.
Yeah. It's an investment, and it's we also like I get a little bit coach, you know, from the manager's director, and then I do a lot of investigation too.
So to give you an example of an old school tactic that was similar is like in 2014, 2013, I hired a PR company. Okay. They did a really good job. I wrote articles, you know what I mean? Got myself in articles, got myself on radio shows, and got myself on Grant Cardone's Power Player show.
Oh, okay.
And so what would happen is whenever they would Google the company, they wouldn't just get the company information. They would get all my articles and then my interview and my radio show stuff. It would all come up on the first page. Yeah. So it was instant validation. Yeah. And so now you're basically doing the same thing, but you're doing it in the form of social media. So now when they search for your company, they search for you, they get 170,000 followers and an instant like validation. You know what I mean? And it, the reason I asked you how long you had been doing it the other day was because I was like, okay, how long does that take to build that? You know what I mean? Because I can already tell because of your values and the conversations that we had, you're not the guy that's going to go out and purchase it, right? Because you can go out and purchase a bunch of followers just to make it look like that, right? But you can see that in the algorithm. So the first thing I looked at was your first post, and it had over 9,900 likes on it. And I'm like, okay, this dude is real. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I'm very impressed with what you've been able to build on social media because it is a huge recruiting tool. Yeah. It is instantly like, hey, Jimmy's telling me that I can change my life with this opportunity, and I met Jimmy 15 minutes ago, but, I'm on Instagram now and I see that there's people supporting this as well. There's a movement that he's created on social media supporting it. So that is a huge deal. So many of my consulting clients in construction, I push them so hard to start building their authority on social media. And I mean, these are good old boys. They wear boots every day. They run construction crews, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm like, this can be the difference maker for you. You want to hire that, skilled manager or foreman or whatever the case is. This can be a huge recruiting tool for you. So just want to point that out, of course. Yeah, absolutely. It does help. Let's get back to your solar team. So how are you all set up? Does the salesperson that's in the field doing door to door, is it they're setting the appointment and they're closing the customer, or do you do, like I said, a closer mode? We have both. We have a mixture of pretty much, a setter and closer. They pretty much do the same thing, and then we do have we actually have a setter and closer model. But I try to, if I see like there's a good closer, I try to put him where he sets his own appointment and he also closes, because that's like the best. That's the best way that's gonna really build you, and because that potentially could create a leader, right? Because he already been through appointment setting, so if he's gonna manage the appointment setters, he could also manage the appointment setters and kind of oversee and solve some problems if there's like something stuck, and he knows how to close it too. And that's just the same way that when I was building the teams in the beginning, I've gone through it. We used to even design the actually proposals, so we used to have like fire setbacks and do the whole layout and all that stuff, and then I set the appointment and then I close the appointment, so I found that it's one of the best techniques to do it. I know like some people do prefer to just do the appointment, which is okay, right? Right. But if you're just starting and you don't have the capital to invest in that, and you don't have like you can't afford to like invest in W-2s and all this stuff, which I did, and like I made a good investment, but not in the hundreds of thousands, right. So it's like, okay, so how can I really bring value to my team, and how can I make it as as less overhead as I can, because not because I didn't want to, it's because at the end of the day I couldn't. It's like, hey, man, I gotta
couple good 50 grand invested into it, which I can't afford to pay $30,000 salaries, to
Yeah,
people,
of course.
So it was, it has worked out, and now that obviously we scaled, we grew, we've been doing it for quite a bit, then we could play with it, and we can invest in different.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you're able to start aligning your comp plan or your opportunity structure with your values. You know? And sometimes you can't afford to do that, And so I'm in a position where we were already an established company when we started solar. Yeah. So it was more of a pet project that turned into, hey, this makes good money. Yeah. And now we're a couple $100 grand invested into it. Okay. And we're trying to build out this division. We're trying to figure it out because we're not just going to take someone else's model and apply that. You know what I mean? There's a lot to be said about if it isn't broke, don't fix it. But also everybody has a different set of values that they operate on, And I want to make sure that everybody at my company can at least pay their bills. And I'm not depending on a zero paycheck to motivate them to do well. Yeah, absolutely. I want them to be motivated to do well because they want to do well for themselves, their family, and their futures. And when we get into like management and leadership, their legacy. Right? Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. Makes sense. And so we're able to, because on the solar side, we do W-2, right? At the appointment center level, they make $500 a week. At the closure level, they do the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. That's just the base against commission. That's if nothing happens that week, they can still put gas in the car, they can still put food on the table. You and I know once they close a solar commission, then they're good for, a couple weeks sometimes, And so that's kind of where we've ended up right now. Mm-hmm. So all the setters do is set, all the closers do is close. Now the closers have set before. It's an opportunity structure, right? Mm-hmm. You got to set before you close. Yeah. That part's pretty simple. But we kind of adopted that. Jake Hess was the first one to give me that idea. Okay. He was on the podcast like a month ago. And he even told me that he almost had the commission split between the two. Because the setters were doing the heavy lifting, right? Yeah. But the closers were doing the more skilled work. The more skilled lifting, or the more skilled way that they were closing, right? So that's kind of how he justified it in there, and I understood that too. And he had a very, very loose way of talking about it, because he was like, "Look, if you don't have any appointments, then sit on your couch and watch TV. And then when you get an appointment, then you get up and go run your appointment, and then you go back home and sit on your couch and watch TV." And so that was how he was able to tell the closer, "Hey, you're not making as much money here as you would anywhere else, but you're also not knocking doors. You're not dealing with prospecting and all that kind of stuff, And I know me and you are over here like, no, that doesn't make any sense. You need to put in a full day of work. You need to prospect, right? And so I'm that's kind of my happy medium is what we're doing with it right now. We're kind of playing that in between and trying to test it out, figure it out. And so far we've gotten good reception. Obviously, if you can give them a check every week, they're gonna be happy with that. So
yeah, of course.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends, like where you, what do you think is the best way, right? Like absolutely, like we want to, take care of people as far as the bare minimum, which is great. We now adopted that model, but then I felt like for me, right, I wouldn't be able to talk about anything else. When I started, like it was pretty straight up. It's like maybe you're not gonna have a salary, but I can teach you how to make a $250,000 to like over 6 figures. Which we did with every single guy that just stuck to it, and we delivered, right. So, and I think it was really genuine, and I see a lot of business owners too where they invest and they get onto this crazy debt, and now they're like, man, I gotta make this, so I have to, I've been over-promising people like some things that potentially could not happen. You know what I mean? Right. But again, that's the way that I've seen it. I don't see, I don't know exactly the numbers and their finances and know their businesses, but and so the people sense that it's like, yeah, man. So like, okay, cool. Once they believe in you, then they're gonna run with it. And it worked out. Especially in the beginning, because it was not easy to pick up, which I'm sure you kind of. You went through it when you started. Yeah.
That's why I didn't start until we were ready. Yeah. So we had some cash in the bank. Yeah. You know what I mean? We had, basically we were able to invest. Yeah. And I've seen all these other companies doing it and doing well. Yeah. I'm like, well, what they say and what's actually happening is typically two different things. But my reps are coming to me. They're like, hey, I want to sell solar. So the company approached me. And you hear that enough. I industry at the time, I was hearing it a lot because the industry, as far as Texas, was brand new. So companies were taking advantage. They were selling at $6, $7, and $8 per watt, which in Texas is like almost double what you should be selling at.
That's pretty high.
And so, my father-in-law was one of the people that got taken advantage of, and so he had like a 20%, 30% production compared to his electric bill. So he was paying this big old solar financing bill, and he was paying his electric bill. Yeah, he was one of those. There was a lot of those in Texas at the time. So I wasn't really happy with the industry in general.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it started getting its act cleaned up and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I think we can jump into this now. So we're about 8 months in. We've got about 40 systems sold, So we're figuring it out day by day. So hopefully we get to 40 a month like you are soon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, we got that's like on a team basis, right? It goes up and down, but we're now in the 100 mark, and but most of the teams that's to go 40, 30, 25. The teams that we had in different states, and that's worked out. That's been worked out. Obviously, we always learn too, right? We learn from come to events like this.
Yes.
And we just adapt according to also like the industry, because there's a lot of changes. So we just gotta be convenient sometimes.
So success leads clues. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions. If you guys have or don't have these things, and maybe you can get some value on this end too. So I typically, when I audit a sales program in general, I go through CODOC, and it's CODOC, right? And the first thing that I look at is the culture. Okay, so one of the easiest ways to build culture is things like swag. Taking care of your people. Having the first one's compensation. I was like, this should be the last. The last is the most important, right?
Yeah.
So the first one's compensation. In terms of that, what kind of strategies do you use to keep your guys on board and keep your team growing and scaling when it comes to compensation? Do you have kind of like a mark? So we work off of 65%. 65% goes to the sales force. 35% stays with the company, and then we're typically in a 10 to 15% profit margin, somewhere in there, and we feel like that's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely do have structures. Like I said, we have the division of solar direct sales, which that's like we take like a small margin as far as that goes, because they're catching the fish and they're cooking it.
Right.
And then there's also the W-2 employees, where they set up appointments, and then the closure with the salary and the commission and quarter. So we try to be creative on that side, because
you're making the investment, you're taking on the debt.
Yeah.
And you're hoping they produce.
Yeah. So, we try to be creative. We try to be creative enough where we deliver, because sometimes I see like commission structures are like extremely weird and crazy, and I've seen it with a lot of Insta companies, and
some companies just try to confuse them to where if they do get another offer, they don't understand.
Exactly. It's like, it's a good, the best, baseline, and super low, but then they have all these adders
afterwards.
It ends up being like super high.
Yeah.
That happens all the time, and I have those conversations. Man, but I got this. But okay, let's do the math. And whenever I have somebody call me or reach out, it's like, man, I want to be part of the team or something.
So I'm with you there. Our compensation is our compensation. The only thing that gets added on is if something happens with the home.
Absolutely.
And you gotta forgive me because Wayne's our solar expert, so I'm gonna botch this. But something like the electrical box needs an upgrade.
Yeah.
You can't predict that. You know what I mean? And so we take a part of that on, and they take a part of that on typically. Yeah. And so when things like that happen after the sale, then everybody has to kind of take a hit. You know what I mean? Yeah. But this what are some of the silly adders they do?
They do like if you're part of the team, they get like a fee for training resources. They get a fee for some panels, like standard panels, a fee for inverters.
Yeah, if you a premium panel or whatever.
Yeah,
we already sell premium panels as the standard.
Yeah,
you guys do
exactly.
That too?
Yeah, we do that. So
it's
like because you add it, and every single panel has an adder. Inverter has an adder. Like racking has an adder. Like you get 65%, but then out of the 65 they keep 20%, but there's still a percentage hidden.
Like a reserve.
It's like it's really tricky, and so watch out, all you guys that are doing, out there, like don't get, like there's a bunch of people recruiting, don't get sucked into that. Like if you're in a good culture, like where you're at, just don't play with that.
Too many salespeople get caught up in the red line conversation.
Yeah.
And it's not about the red line. It's about the company's sustainability.
Exactly.
It's about the culture. It's about the ability for them to recruit people so that you can grow. You know what I'm saying? Those are the best things.
Yeah.
But anyways, going back to the compensation, is it like, do you all just lay it out for them, or is it more variable depending on what they're bringing to the table?
Yeah, depending on what they're bringing to the table. Like, we bring people on board with experience. They already have a team. They already have a couple guys.
So you guys are pretty flexible with the compensation.
Yeah, so we have the full employee model, which is a closer. They're employees, and then they have a salary, and then they have a commission, and they have a quarter bonus, and then we also have like a good closer that's like, yeah, man, I'm a one man show that I could close. Okay, cool. And we do like a
more of a
1099,
1099
type of guy. And then we have a full team that comes aboard too. It's like, okay, cool. I mean, you're full team. We also do that model too. So it all depends on the person. And, and if they're a good fit for the company too. Because I learned that the hard way too. Like before, it was like, everybody with the pulse I wanted to bring in.
I remember those days.
Yeah. So now it's like, I want to make sure, like, I'm gonna take care of you and tell you if it's, and it's funny because I have a conversation. What do you mean, man? Like, I'm not good for. It's like, nah, man, don't take it personal. It's just like, I know this conversation is, it's gonna take us like a month and a half in, and you're not gonna like the way that culture runs or the way that I operate business, and because to me, as I take care of the partners that I work with too, like I want to have a good relationship. I don't want to burn any bridges. I know distributors, finance companies too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to bring in somebody that could, just kind of
hurt that relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's a reason I've been an AT&T dealer for 12 years, and so many other dealers have shut down.
Yeah, we were talking about that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and it happened. So, but for the most part, we it's flexible, and we could pretty much adapt to those models.
So that's the total opposite of the way we do it.
Yeah.
Which is fair. I mean, that's why I love doing podcasts like this, and when we had that conversation on the plane, I definitely asked you that question in a different way, and so I knew that you were going to answer this way, and so we have our set comp plan, and if somebody wants to bring a team in or whatever, they can bring the team in. If we qualify them as a manager, then they can run off that set comp plan. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
That way, everybody at the company has the same opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And it also, honestly, on the operation side, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah,
your payroll person is not happy with you right now.
Yeah.
I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
But it's different for different companies, right? So that's kind of how we run it, and we can fit our comp plan on one sheet.
Yeah, it's a straight line.
It's a straight line deal, and so if you don't want to be W-2, then our company's probably not going to be good for you. You know what I mean? If you want to get paid more because you sell more, like paid more per watt or paid more, you know what I mean? Because you sell more, we're probably not going to be a good company for you. You know what I'm saying? We try to maintain our margins for a reason because we invest a lot in the culture.
Yeah.
We do a lot. We pay for travel, pay for hotels. You know what I mean? We're taking almost all of our people to MDM, which is a huge conference in Dallas that Apex and Ryan Stewman's crew is putting on. It's going to be great. And so we try to really keep it tight, and like I was telling you, more small, because I'm tired, man. I've been managing a lot of people for a long time. Now I want to build up to, over the next maybe 5 years, like 100 six-figure earners, And that sounds like a lot of people, but if you build 20 a year, it's not too bad at all. I mean, that's less than 5 a month, So, or that's like 1.5 a month. And so that's kind of the way we're approaching it right now and how we want to operate. So, so opportunity. How do you guys communicate the opportunity to your people, and how quickly can they get to like a management position?
So opportunity, obviously, we have something like you were talking about, right? It takes, you have to build your way up into management, right? But there's always that, room of growth, right? Because it happened to me, and and I know what it is, right, to be in that spot. So if it's the right leader that we want to be for our team, then they understand it's going to take, you know, a work ethic, and it's going to take action, right? Because, you know, you start having a culture where anybody, you know, that says that's going to do something starts to, like, get promoted, then it's like, you know, like, it messes it up, you know, so... the way that we, you know, approach it is just, you know, present the opportunity, and this is what it takes to get to a higher level, and we're going to help you, we're going to push you, we're going to guide you, we're going to give you the tools, you know, the trainings and resources in order for you to get there, and it's there, right? The opportunity is there. It's not, we're not biased, we're not like, okay, because you know, like, we don't, you know, discriminate anybody, nothing like that. It's like, no, absolutely not. It's all based on actions and based on performance, you know, so.
So in terms of performance, what are y'all's minimum numbers for them to be able to even be qualified for that opportunity?
Yeah, so I mean, in the beginning, it's like we have like this club which is in 10. So now we kind of I kind of replicated the model from Sort City, so it's in 10. And the reason that it's a little bit higher is because now there's leads. Now solar,
it's different now.
Yeah, like even the government is advertising solar, so it's like it's a lot, you know, it's a lot quicker for you to get a sell. So you know that's a good stepping stone. Let's get you. You know, that means that the whole reason behind it is because you closed enough deals that you have enough experience that you know what it takes to get that to that level, right? So you know how to, you know, you could close, if you could close that amount of deals in 1 month, like you have the experience and you know what it takes and you know the work that it takes. So you know, if you do it, you know, if you keep on doing it consistent, you know, like you'll be able to train somebody else, right? It doesn't mean that they always have to hit, you know, those 10
So
deals.
at the 10, that's where they get, that's where they qualify to get promoted to trainer. That's kind of where you are at.
Not necessarily at the 10, but it's a good stepping stone that we encourage.
It's one of the qualifiers.
Yeah, it's one of the qualifiers.
Or there's some of the others.
Some of the others is like, you know, obviously, you know, understand, like, have some, you know, leadership initiatives, you know, like.
So basically at that point, you, maybe not you personally, but one of your management has seen them and recognized them as a leader.
Yeah, okay, exactly. And then, you know, we help them, you know, we give them like one-on-one coaching, and, you know, I talk to
best
them,
time.
or one of the leaders, you know, talk to them.
Isn't it crazy how impactful that is, a phone call from you?
Yeah, like I feel like it is, you know, because, you know, they know that we're there to help them out and want to see them grow. Like, you know, we had a full team, which is like, you know, a few of them, you know, it's like, they come from, you know, just making the bare minimum, and they got $30,000 check, $32,000, you know, they
changing their life.
Changes their life, man. All of a sudden they come out with, you know.
Is that, you know, I did career day the other day.
Yeah.
And I told you about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that was my favorite question that the kids kept asking, because I had to do it 5 times.
Yeah.
Different classes. I was exhausted by the end of it. I don't know how some of these speakers do it for an hour straight, but anyways, the question was always, what do you love most about your job? Wow. And it is that moment where they get that $30,000 check or that $5,000 check or whatever, you know what I mean? And they make that life-changing money. They make in 1 week what they used to make in a month or in 3 months, you know what I mean? And so for me, it's kind of seeing that happen. It's like watching your kids grow up. You know, that's the closest that I can like describe it. You know, nothing's better than watching your kids take their first step or something like that.
Yeah.
But and you got that to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that was kind of my answer on that. What would you say your favorite part is?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, man. Like, you know, changing people's life. Like, you know, I remember taking guys to the dealership to buy like their dream car. It's material stuff, but it's still like,
it means so much more though.
Yeah, exactly.
That they have the opportunity to do that, and they can make that decision for themselves if they want to.
Yeah. Coming from like a lower middle class, you know, family, like, you know, we didn't have, you know, some of this stuff, or we didn't believe that it was within us to actually being able to do something like this. And most of the guys that, you know, like we bring on board, you know, that those are the cases. And, you know, and I know there's some fears behind it. It's like, am I capable of doing that? Am I able to make 6 figures? Am I able to make a quarter? Am I able to make now 7 figures? You know, we have some guys on the team, you know, and then there's like, you know, once we kind of guide them, when somebody in the team kind of guides them towards that, like, and they see like the results, and they come back as like, man, like you literally like changed my life. Like my life changed because, you know, because of the industry and because of being part of the team. And that's a game changer, because I was there, man. Like I remember I was living at my mom's, right? I was 20 years old, and you know, I kind of had my life. I tried to plan my life 5 years at least ahead, and not planning, but at least know what I want, right? And I was like, man, well, I need to buy a house. I'm gonna get married. You know, I didn't even know my fiance at the time. I'm sorry, my wife now. But it's like, so I need to buy a house. I was like, how am I gonna make it with a $38,000 salary?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
How is that gonna happen? This is like $200,000 homes. How am I gonna be able to afford that? And and it kind of killed me at the time. I was like, no, I'm gonna find a way. And the people that guided me through getting my first six-figure, like a year, like it's like they changed my life, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that was life-changing. And
probably still have a relationship with some of them today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like still to the day, and now we just continue to grow and continue to learn.
It's interesting you said that you planned your life 5 years ahead, because okay, so it was Andrew Evans that did the recruiting piece today at SolarCon, and probably one of the most impactful things that he said was, so managers have the capability of planning like 2 weeks ahead, right? CEOs typically plan 5 years ahead.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but then he said kings plan 100 years ahead.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool, because that honestly is I'm not saying I'm a king, because nobody wants to say they're the top, right? But I'm absolutely planning for the day when my kids and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren are around an old oak tree on our 100-acre ranch, and they're talking about the family, the ranch, and how they're going to manage it.
Yeah.
And that's the vision I have in my head. And that's one of my whys,
Absolutely.
And but it's so funny, at the time you had that CEO inside of you that
Yeah.
was already planning 5 years ahead, so it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of came together after we heard that talk.
Yeah.
So you've talked a lot about developing your guys, so I feel like we kind of covered that already. The next piece is operations. So your ops team is like what I like to call them. I call my team special ops.
Yeah.
And that's my staff.
Yeah.
That's the people that don't sell. That's the people that make the machine run.
Yeah.
After the sale is made, they get it to install, right?
Yep.
Or they do the recruiting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the marketing, whatever the case is. So where have you found success there? How do you find synergy with that sales team? You know what I mean? They're not sales team, sorry. Operations team.
Yeah, man. This guys are behind the scenes. From the executive assistant all the way to like somebody just handling social media or just the design aspect of it. I try to treat people like a family, man. Like I think that's a big thing for me. Like like try not to get things into my head where it's like, oh yeah, we grow this big, and it's like, yeah, treat them like family. Everybody that's no matter how important the role is, and and just like build that good relationship with them, and help them see like, hey man, like if you do a good job of what you're doing, like we just had a talk with my whole marketing team, and it's like, look, I want you guys to talk about what is the legacy that you guys gonna leave in this company. Like, what do you want to be remembered of? Like, what is and I want you guys to really think about it. And the next meeting that we have, for you guys to write it down and just express it and let me know.
I like that.
And then they were excited about sharing it, and I was like, yeah, that's the reason why I always push for excellence. I would push to, we have this motto, like, to be champions, like perform like champions, and just do the best out of where we're at. Because if you do the best at what you're currently at, which maybe is not the most glamorous or appealing position, trust me, like you'll get to where you need to get to. And so those are some of the talks that I have with them. And it's like family, too. Like been knowing her for years and years, and she takes care of us like family. I take care of her like family too. Whenever I can. And also on the on the operational side, pushing the jobs, even with our partners too. Like I'm there, like I'm showing like interest. Like, yeah, man, I care about what you're doing, even though you're just moving a couple pieces. But like I care, like it's not.
You're moving the pieces to a bigger machine that's making everything happen.
Exactly. So that's part of the. I guess that's some of the ways that I try to run it at all times. Because. Like, it's easy to be like, yeah, man, like this guy, this just somebody that's working here.
Yeah,
and, just get it
they
done.
get paid to do a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of teams, and I've heard it from leaders too. It's like, yeah, man, people are just not loyal. People are not, they're just here to pick up a check, and
why is that?
Yeah, and it's like, hey, man, like maybe you gotta look in the mirror and see what's going on, because most of the time it is with there's a small percentage which it is people they just don't give a crap, they're just like, I'm just here to pick up a paycheck. But most of the time too is like maybe there's something wrong. You did not, you or somebody in the staff did not take care of them well, or that's
I typically audit that.
Yeah.
The way that I find out is, okay, you're skilled, you're talented, but you're maybe not a good leader.
Yeah.
The terminology that they use when they talk about their team.
Yeah.
Is it I did all the good things and then we're struggling with this, or is it we did all these amazing things and then hey, we struggle with this too. So the we's and the I's is a big indication of a leader versus the slave driver in the back. You know what I'm saying? How they talk about their team. And I did in my 20s. I was really talented at what I did. I was able to replace myself. I was able to develop systems, operations, and put great staff in place. And I always took super good care of my staff, but I always had this weird relationship with my sales leaders, salespeople. But I was still able to grow and everything just on my abilities alone. But eventually it fell apart, because I wasn't doing the right culture things. And so, we were talking about operations, but you kind of just went into culture right after that. So, do you guys have core values?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We definitely have a good work ethic, right? We work hard, play hard too, and integrity, is a big thing. And the biggest is servant mentality. Having a servant mentality. And
that's where it all started for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's easy to get caught up, especially like in sales. Like, I remember I had this I called it a quick trip. I consider myself like a quick, fast learner. I learn from people pretty quick. So, you could get caught up in, making a lot of money, like in solar, right? Considered a lot of money to some people it's not, but, to me it wasn't, to most of us it is, right?
Absolutely.
And then you get to a point where it's like, oh man, well, I don't need to be begging this customer, I don't need to be, bending over for this customer, or kind of like bending sideways and all that stuff, and it's easy for you to have that, like I got what it takes, I got the money, this is stuff, right? But I remember it took me 2 days, and I got that mentality like, man, I got a 12 grand check, this week. So I was like, man, I don't got a door knock, like, man, it's like that customer, like I had that, honestly, I had
that money runs out real quick.
And then it's like, and not necessarily ran out, but I just stopped myself, and and it's like, hey, Jimmy, I was like, how do you make this money? I remember I had a conversation with myself.
Yeah.
I was like, well, serving clients. Okay, so do you want to keep on this lifestyle? I was like, yeah, man, absolutely. I was like, yeah, I want to keep it. So what do you got to do? You got to keep on serving more people. So shut the fuck up and go serve people. So that was like, that conversation started for my language.
No, we're an explicit podcast.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be the title. Shut the fuck up and go serve people.
Yeah.
I was also kind of zeroing in on solar servant. You know what I mean? That's a good title, but I think that's the theme of this episode for sure, is the servant mentality. They talked about it at SolarCon today.
Yeah.
Anybody that is riding in a first class seat typically has that mentality. Yeah. And I keep going back to it. Success leaves clues, right? Yeah. And so I love that your journey started that way, and I really appreciate you sharing it with us. But not only that, but giving us, basically how your team operates and how you guys are successful, because the listeners are going to be able to 100% learn from that. So thank you for coming on the podcast and doing this with us. And if you could tell us your Instagram handle one more time, people can reach out to you. Yeah, you can reach me at Jimmy Esparza Official. Jimmy, last name Esparza Official. And also, we have TikTok, Facebook, so we have all the platforms, and and you guys can find me there, and you'll find our company and some of the things that we've done. So. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you doing this with me. No, thanks, man.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Building Great Sales Teams. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. This way you'll get notifications as new episodes become available. Remember, great sales teams are not recruited. They are built block by block. Until next time.